Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
For a few coins, I will hypnotize you, and I will read your future in your sleepy eyes.
This is episode 143, recorded June 30th, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
Hi, I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. For each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic, or like tonight, a not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. Oh, there's a hurricane coming. All right, with me this week is my co-host Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. But I'd prefer if you call me Frank Salon.
No problem.
You got it, sir. Frank Salon.
Frank Salon Mohr.
Frank Salad. Why did you make me do that? Oh my God. All right. Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, and special effects guru, and of course, all around nice guy. Bill, how you doing?
I'm in New York, and as you can hear in the background, we've been having storms, and when it thunders here, it just sounds like God set off a bomb. And crazy, hot and stormy.
God bomb.
Yeah.
Well, you look good, sir.
You might hear my parents occasionally in the background forgetting that they're not supposed to say anything.
Ah!
But thank you. Yeah, so I'm visiting my folks up here.
Nice view out the window too.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be heading to Florida soon, so out of the frying pan into the fire.
Oh, nice. Maybe I'll meet you down there. All right. Also joining us tonight is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the classic era. Chad, how you doing, sir?
I am amazing. I'm amazing. Don't do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't like this either.
Oh no! It's all the hands.
That's just
Nobody likes that. That's just creepy.
I was gonna say. Jeff, don't do that.
Well, let's dive into the film we're doing tonight, which is Assignment Terror. It's known by a whole bunch of different names. We'll get into that in a little bit. But this is one of, for me, it's one of the Paul Naschy films. Right? It's what is it? Waldemar Daninsky, his Wolfman werewolf character. He did 7 or 8. Maybe 9
we don't know.
versions of them.
Many versions.
And this is early one from 1970. It's one of the, well, I don't know. He ended up doing like a series of them where he teamed up with other monsters. One of them is a classic, in my opinion, where Wolfman and meets the vampire woman. Yeah, I love that one. Wolfman meets the Yeti. I'm not so certain.
Frankenstein's Bloody Terror, which is pretty good if you ignore the fact it's got no Frankensteins at all, or even Frank Salons. So
Frank Salons. But anyway, so we've done one before, right, Chad? And now's the time to do another.
Now I'm passing the torch.
Yes. Well, we do want to explore these films. I had not seen this one, and so this one had been on my list for a long time. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it has a great poster with all the monsters in it. We get the Frankenstein monster, we get the Wolfman, we get Dracula, we get the Mummy, and a mad scientist. We get it all. So gotta watch it.
Oh yeah.
And that's about everything it's got going for it. After that, I'm bearing the lead. But anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna share when we first caught this, and then we're gonna talk about the film, and then after that, who knows? And we have some feedback at the end of the show, right? Franken salad?
We do.
All right. Let's take a look at the card, shall we? Assignment Terror, also known as Los Monstruos de Terror, which is the Spanish title. Dracula versus Frankenstein, which makes it very confusing.
Which never happens, right?
No,
right, because you can easily confuse it with the other Schlockmeister classic,
which did at least have Dracula versus Frankenstein for a while. But
for like a hot second, right? Operation Terror, Monster Panic, Strange Tactics, Reincarnator, and it was filmed under the title "The Man Who Came from Umo," which
that's one of the worst titles of all.
Which they do actually mention in the film. It has 4 directors. It was written by Paul Naschy as Jacinto Molina Alvarez. The cast includes Paul Naschy and others. I'm not going to go through them, other than Patty Shepard, because she's
and Michael Rennie.
And well, you guys stealing the words out of my mouth.
Oh,
we cannot pass up Michael Rennie because well, he's a classic. And another reason to watch this is Michael Rennie. Whether or not you will be satisfied with that, well, you're going to find out in the next hour. Of course, it was released in 1970 in France. I'm not really sure. There's no clear picture when it actually made to the States because I think it just went straight to television, right?
It did.
So,
straight to TV.
Yeah, so it doesn't really have a release date in the States. But it took a long while to film because it just got on and off the schedule. There's a whole history. I'm sure we'll dive into that. And it's basically, I think they steal some plot from Toho, right? It's aliens coming down and they decide the best way to conquer Earth is to revive all these monsters.
I think they stole the plot from Plan 9 from Outer Space.
It feels that way.
Yeah, or Santo and the Blue Demon version.
Yeah.
Did that say a budget of $1 million? Because that's a stone cold lie right there.
That all went to Michael Rennie.
Well, you might not be wrong, and we don't know. It may not be dollars either.
Not American.
I think
that's because there was another thing that said there was 500,000 patrons or seats in Spain, so that certainly added up to more than whatever that was.
Yeah.
When your movie has to resort to dry ice in red-colored soapy water to show viruses or something, I don't think you're $1 million production.
I have no idea what that was.
Yeah.
Well, he said I was reading something where he was told by the producer that he could do whatever he wanted, and the sort of like the budget go big. The budget's like unlimited, and then he got really pissed off when wasn't the case, and they cut the golem and they cut the on and on. So.
And they were like, "Hey, you effed up. You trusted us." Oh well.
Yeah, don't take them at face value. All right. Well, what we do here is we talk about the first time we watch this film, and we'll go around and do this. Bill Mulligan, sir, when did you first see Assignment Terror?
This was kind of a late night TV staple, so I saw it in bits and pieces. I think I probably had trouble staying awake watching it. It has a good, strong opening and a pretty good, strong ending and a long, lagging middle. So I don't know that I've ever watched this film from beginning to end until last week, where I found a very good print on YouTube. And here's one warning for folks out there. Find a good print, because this movie, I think, is public domain and is treated as such. I've seen garbage copies of this that I thought were in black and white. And when you find a decent copy, or if you're insane like Frankenstein here and actually get the Blu-ray, you discover it's actually very colorful, good cinematography. I have no complaints about the cinematography. Great widescreen composition. Yeah, it's fairly technically well made. It's a sharply made little picture. It has problems, as you alluded to. They made a lot of changes. The premise is kind of big, aliens from outer space coming down, but the aliens, all we really see is the aliens are a bunch of TVs stacked on top of each other. We don't see any UFOs. There's supposed to be a golem, but there's that. Now, it does have monsters. I mean, this is a monster mash. It's got a mummy. It's got a Dracula. It's got a Frankenstein. I don't care what they call him. And it's got a Wolfman. It's a great mummy. I love the mummy. This is one of my top mummies. Mummies are pretty crap, and this one was good. A creepy, eerie looking little mummy. It's got a good werewolf by a good actor who knows how to do werewolves, although the makeup is not the best makeup he ever used. And there's a couple scenes in the movie where the werewolf looks different. Like, I think it was probably footage from an earlier one. It has an okay Dracula. He's really no great shakes, and that's usually the high point of these things. And it's got the worst Frankenstein possibly ever. And that's a bold statement, because there's been some bad Frankenstein.
There's been some crap Frankenstein.
This is a crap Frankenstein. I don't know why they bothered changing the name, which I'm pretty sure is public domain, and then use the flat top, which is the whole Universal thing. But he's so laughably incompetent with his green skin, fake scar to hide the edges of the flat headpiece. The fact that he's walking around with his eyes closed, which means that this guy's only experience with Frankenstein's monster was watching Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman where the monster's blind for the whole movie and walks around with his eyes closed and looks stupid. This was the absolute worst choice he could have made. That Frankenstein is dreadful.
Might have been his homework was to watch that movie to find out.
Oh my God. But, I mean, the premise is they're going to clone all these monsters and invade the world with monsters, which is, kind of cool. But they find the monsters by referring to a book that might as well be called This Is Where the Monsters Are. Didn't think it would be that easy. And they never bother cloning them. So, like I say, the middle part doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But you know what? I had a fun time watching this. I can't say it was not enjoyable. It's like a 60s movie trying to be a 40s movie, and
coming out in the 70s.
Its reach vastly exceeds its grasp, but I enjoyed it. So,
oh man! All right, Chad Hunter, you are up next. When did you first see Assignment Terror, and what was your impression of it?
I first saw it yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yes, that's the first time I've seen it. And I, too, was trying to find something about this movie that made sense, but came up short.
Came up short.
My ex-girlfriend used to say. Baruch. Oh. Anyway.
Is that the long and short of it?
Pretty much.
All right. Well,
anyway,
That's the literal. That's what she said.
No, we'll just go with that. All right. Well, Frankenstein.
Okay.
When did you first? I mean, if that's all you got to offer, you got more. You got more to say.
Yeah, that's a bad one to end it on.
How can I top that? But it's
yes.
We covered Fury the Werewolf.
We did.
And
I do remember that.
Such a bad movie. I felt the same way. This was a horrible movie. I did not like it. There were parts that I liked. I'll say that. I agree with Bill. The Mummy was pretty well done. I really liked the Mummy. Horrible Frankenstein. Horrible Dracula. Did they even fight like they said in the title?
No.
Or they just no. I don't think they.
Dracula fought the Wolfman. Yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't even live up to what the title was.
And the Wolfman fought Frankenstein.
Yeah,
the Wolfman killed everybody.
Wolfman fought the Mummy. Yeah, actually, it was the Wolfman versus everyone. So
yeah, so as far as that kind of thing, I think this is what was it? Walter Deminsky. What was his name? Waldemar. Same character he played in Fury, and they brought him over to this.
Yeah. They loosely revived him by removing the silver bullet from his heart, right?
Yeah. And so, okay, Paul, I give you this one too. My first impression of it was I felt like I was watching Fury of the Werewolf again, or the Wolfman again, but with a couple of little cool monster fights at the end. It was a cool monster fight. I have to give it that. And Michael Rennie, when I first saw Michael Rennie's going to be in this, wow! Michael, if I could have plucked him out, I would have. But it's a
thankless role.
I'm just not digging it. I'm just not. Couldn't get into it that much.
Fair enough. All right, Jeffrey. What was your first impression of this film, and when did you first see it? And you have the Blu-ray for.
Yeah. Well, so sometimes if we don't have a decent one online, and it's hard to find information on this stuff, I just, I couldn't control myself. What can I say? My life is a series of addictions, and that's one now. It's less harmful than others. So anyway,
on this one though, we need to have an intervention, I think.
Well, so here's the deal. By the way, I went ahead and ordered the Paul Naschy Volume 1 from Scream Factory.
Nice.
Anyway, because I know there's some good movies out there. I just haven't seen them yet. I haven't seen them yet. Because my only experience is Fury in this one. So I don't know where to start other than, one of the things I heard was that Naschy, like the first Universal movie he saw as a kid, and it was supposed to be adults only in Spain because of Generalissimo Franco was very hardcore on
Who's still
censorship.
dead.
Yeah. Well, he's dead now, but he wasn't dead then.
Nah.
And would not allow wouldn't let any stuff like that, kids to see anything like that, but also would not allow horror movies to be set in Spain, which is why they had to say they were filming it in Germany. You can have Spanish money and everything. So anyway, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman was like the first one he saw, and he was totally in love with it. He was absolutely in love with it. And so
that explains a lot.
I think this is as close as he could come to repeating it. And he even used names like Alona for the one blonde woman is a woman from that's one of the actresses in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, Alona Massey. And then Mileva, right? Maria Ospenskaya, that was what her name was. So there's lots of little things he stuck in the script, but it's not anywhere near what he wanted.
Sure.
Because the budget got jammed on him. So anyway, but the Blu-ray is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You still hear this. So the music to me sounded like it was pulled out of In Like Flint or a Matt Helms movie or something, It was just odd. I think they couldn't decide if they were going to make an alien invasion spy movie or a monster movie.
It does feel a little schizophrenic sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, I would have liked to see more Paul Naschy because that was the whole thing. And Michael Rennie, one of the things I was excited about is the Blu-ray you can listen to the Spanish with English subtitles, or you can listen to the English. Okay. Well, Michael Rennie's voice appears in none of those. They said he wasn't health-wise, he wasn't healthy enough to dub it when they dubbed
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah, so they got this British actor to do it.
Oh, that fooled me. I thought he was sounding pretty good. It's like, so
anyway, yeah. And he died not too much later. So I should stop rambling. But in terms of a kind of a weird, quirky, crap movie for some, it's got some weird little tidbits about it that make it interesting to me anyway.
Interesting is probably the best thing I can say about this movie. It is interesting because of what they're trying to achieve. I have long wanted to watch this movie and just haven't taken the time to do so. And before, I never caught it on like late night or anything, and then never bothered to chase it down when it was, VHS or DVD or even Blu-ray. But I've always been fascinated with it. And I also have always been kind of confused about where it sat because of the titles, right? And I'm like, without diving into all the, background into it, it's a very, what is this? Where does it belong? Well, and is it really a Waldemar, film? Why? But it's got somebody else starring in it, even though he's in it as a Wolfman, but he's not the lead. So what's going on? I don't understand. But but of course, we grew up seeing the pictures in the magazines, right? And of course, the poster that you see with the actual Boris Karloff Frankenstein painted on it. Yeah. We'll take a look, right? I think it's on this one. Yeah, at the top.
Yeah,
that's
the mummy too.
Yeah,
sort of.
But it actually, it's a great poster, and always wanted to watch it. Finally got to do so this week with the single worst copy. I wish I had, chimed in, Bill, and said, "Hey, where's a good copy?" But I did it off Tubi. Tubi sucks. Tubi doesn't suck, but the copy does.
Right.
So don't do that. DM Bill Mulligan for the good location, or buy the Blu-ray. Using our link down below. No, we don't.
Save your money. DM me.
Well, you actually have to order it from Scorpio or the parent company is I think it's Ronin.
Okay.
It's not. It wasn't available on Amazon or anything. You had to order it direct, and
they got it to you quickly.
Yeah.
So I was eager to put it on our list. I'd actually selected, a little behind the scenes, I'd selected 3 different Paul Naschy films and threw it out to the crew. I didn't want to, take the full brunt of picking a bad one. That's lazy me. But so this one was the one we easily picked as the one to do because of all the monsters. And
I was probably the only one picking it out of some sense of non-ignorance that I had seen it before everybody else. Now, if you tossed out Werewolf versus the Vampire Women, that would have been
we'll definitely go do that eventually. Yeah.
Chad's like, oh God, we're gonna do another one.
Yeah, that one will change his mind. That one actually
well
really good. But quickly, I did not like this experience.
Oh.
Did not like this experience. I enjoyed all the creatures, right? The monsters. I thought they actually, even the bad ones, Frankenstein, were fun to look at, right? They were still fun because it's made to be a fun movie. It's not made to be taken seriously. It's made to be kind of schlocky and stuff. But oh my God, the middle of this is so damn boring and slow and dull. I mean, it cranks up at the end, right? Which you know, at least it does something there. And we get some good battles, but holy crap. I was like, I'd rather watch the other Dracula versus Frankenstein for the 10th time, to be honest with you. That movie is really bad, but I love that movie. Al Adams from classic.
I wish that one had been shot by whoever did the cinematography in this one. Then we could
that would have helped.
Maybe understood the ending. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. That movie is like this one, but it actually was 3 different movies before it became what it was. Yeah. But that's a different story altogether.
But you're right when you say this one does have kind of a schizophrenic, like especially the middle part where apparently we're supposed to care about the detective trying to solve this mystery, and then the aliens are. I guess the theme of the movie that the aliens are falling in love and discovering human emotions, and that's what ultimately leads to their destruction. It's like, okay, you can spend 10 minutes on that if you want, but let's get back to some mummy versus. Let's see what happens if the mummy took on Frankenstein. You should have had all the different monsters fighting.
Every time Inspector Toberman was on screen, everything just ground to a halt.
Oh my God! Did it ever?
Big time.
Did it ever? Well, should we go through the monsters real quick?
Sure.
Of course, Paul Naschy is the one everybody knows.
Now, tell me I'm wrong. Does the makeup on the bottom not look totally different from the makeup on the middle?
That's totally different, yeah.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that he had started a second werewolf movie, and it got abandoned for some reason, and then he made this one. And I'm seriously thinking that maybe some of the shots, like the one at the bottom, were from that movie. Because the thing I've always liked about his werewolf is it's very feral and vicious, bright red blood and frothing at the mouth. And this guy in the middle was Jojo the dog-faced boy. He's not that scary looking.
Does look a little Teen Wolfish, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He wasn't happy with the special effects on this either.
No, he wasn't. All right, now we've talked about the Mummy. We love the Mummy, and this one actually is a fairly good mummy. It's lit well, as you can see in here. Mm-hmm. It has one of the better revival scenes, I thought.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the more interesting battles.
And it knew kung fu.
And it knew kung fu. Gotta love
just that gray clay like face, and the fact that he's really strong too. I mean, he's a strong mummy.
I have no idea what they were doing, but that scene where they were like picking at his eye was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
But I had no idea why they were doing that.
They were probably just doing it like, hey, this looks gross.
Look at that.
Hey,
Ooh, I could pull
he had a cool death too. I don't know exactly what that giant wooden hamster wheel was for.
Was that awesome or what?
Put him in a hamster wheel.
It was a rack, wasn't it?
Put him around.
Well, they had Waldemar strapped up on that wheel, and like you could pull it. I thought it was sort of like a vertical rack or something.
Oh.
But I don't know.
It looks like it was designed strictly to kill mummies, which I don't think was much of a problem back in those days.
Well, throw them in the hamster cage and then
set them on
throw
fire.
in a torch.
They go up
it around and watch some pretty lights.
I know, and then do jazz walk out the door almost.
Yeah.
The way he walked out the door, I was like, "That's the worst shot ever." I love it. All right, I guess next up is we got to label it as vampire, but it actually is. They call it Dracula in the movie, don't they? But he's called Count Janus.
Yeah, it's Count Janos, but yeah. So they changed all the names because they were worried about copyright issues, apparently, without ever really checking on it.
And then they put
just
Boris
said,
Karloff on the cover. So
Yeah.
But then
guys.
in the if you noticed, I don't know, Chad, you usually notice this, but the subtitles and the words, the English dubbing, were not matched at all.
Not at all.
Somebody did the subtitles based on, I think, the Spanish. Translated the Spanish instead of. I don't know how they did it, but it was so far off. It was crazy. But sometimes they would say Frank Salon, sometimes they would say Frankenstein, sometimes my favorite was at one point the one guy, I think it's that guy right there, the barker at the
the guy
with the skeleton. Yeah, what does he say? Something about conterminate. The vampires are who corrupt and conterminate are
Conterminate.
Conterminate. Okay.
Yeah. I did like when they pulled the stake out and that schlocky reanimation effect where they just were putting like rubber organs inside the skeleton. And,
oh my God, that was great. Turn around, do a little dissolve, come back, and there's like rubber
so technically the Frankenstein versus Dracula should have been, or Dracula versus Frankenstein should have been Count Janos versus Frank Salon.
Yeah, Frank Salon.
Now, did he even have any lines in the movie?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, that's a waste.
Dracula, none of the monsters did except
Waldemar. I don't want the Frankenstein. I don't expect the mummy to talk. And werewolf just growls. But the one advantage that vampires have over other monsters is that they can pretend to be us and use their smooth patter and everything. But this guy is just
he chose not to.
No personality.
No. Now the way they revived him, is that out of House of Frankenstein or House of Dracula?
Yes, it is. Right? It's virtually beat for beat. I mean, there's a carnival barker who's showing his skeleton with a stake in it, and they pull it out, and he's John Carradine. But they let him talk because he's John Carradine. This guy just thanks for pulling
and who's the barker?
Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
After he kills the real Barker, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh my God, that movie is so much better. All right.
But I think this is certainly a takeoff of that. I mean, he puts these elements in there.
Definitely. There's a lot of Universal monster love.
Which is one thing I appreciate about Naschy is that he did love those Universal films as I did. But oh my God, this Frank! Oh my God, look at that color, green.
But when you saw because didn't Famous Monsters famously like release the color pictures of the old shots?
Yeah, and he was kind of a pastel green because that looked good in black and white.
That's right.
It doesn't look good in color. I'm sure if they had made Son of Frankenstein in color, I doubt that they would have had him green. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's goofy looking.
The reason some of those photos got out, after they got out, everybody did green Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just from those, I think it was just from those photos.
Mm-hmm. And there's no reason why he'd be green. I mean, yes, they used old body parts, but they didn't use old moldy body parts. At least I hope not.
He looks like he's sitting in a bar somewhere playing piano in that little picture there.
Oh no! It's like sing me a song in the piano man. But those eyebrows, he's got caterpillars.
Feeling it, right? Yeah.
What it looks like? What's the guy from SNL? Not Saturday Night Live, but
looks like
was it Second City?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy, yes.
Got the eyebrows.
Or Tom Snyder, yeah.
A little.
And that scar that goes across his head, is that? Am I supposed to not know that that's just because they could not glue down the headpiece enough to make it look convincing?
I thought they should have made a circle all the way around his face so it looked like they sewed his, like it was a face transplant or something.
Sure. Yeah, that could have worked. Why would they sew that face on though? That's not exactly a great face.
But you gotta admit that it's fun to have all those monsters in a movie, and that's what's
yeah.
And if under different circumstances, maybe it's a fun movie. But I'm kind of on Chad's side that this movie is just so bad. But there's Michael Rennie, of course. Day That Earth Stood Still is what we mostly remember him from. He was in plenty of other stuff, but and you were saying this is his last film?
Yeah, I think it was.
there was another one released, but everything I read describes this as his last film. So I don't know.
He doesn't look as robust as he did in Day the Earth Stood Still, but he looks okay. He doesn't look sickly. Like, sometimes when you see these actors showing up in old Euro trash movies, it's like, oh, the years have been unkind. But he still has that. He always had a very dignified look to him. And the idea of the aliens taking over the bodies of dead scientists was also interesting. Kind of reminds me of a terrible movie, Cape Canaveral Monsters. But I feel like we should have seen that. Like, that would have been a good scene to show these people dying. The one guy's a surgeon, dies in battle or something, and then have revived. So we would have gotten zombies out of this too. I mean, yeah, let's toss them into the mix. But I guess maybe that was some of the pages that got torn out when they ran out of money. $1 million budget.
Oh, what can you do? But it did. I'm surprised that it didn't get released in the States with him in the lead. I wonder what happened. Did the DVD Blu-ray say anything about why it didn't get released in the States by any chance?
No, I just talked about how it was so screwed up. I mean, it was kind of like Fury of the Wolfman, I think, as it was delays. It was filmed in 68, and it wasn't even released to France till
a
year and a half later.
I'm under the impression that they were supposed to they were supposed to have a Frankenstein movie, and this one would have been fine for that, but they decided to go instead with the other Polynesian movie that became Frankenstein's Bloody Terror, even though it has no Frankensteins in it. So I guess they just looked at the two films and said, this one's got werewolves and vampires and moves at a pretty good clip.
Well,
and this one has a Frankenstein, but it's not anything to write home about. So,
well, it does say that the U.S. distributor thought that the European distributors were ripping off Al Adamson's Dracula versus Frankenstein, so that might have been.
Who would rip off? Delusional. Yeah, they just couldn't wait. Just a couple. I mean, I think this is well composed. These shots are, the color is good. It's sharp. It's well lit. Now, I mean,
there's Chad down at the bottom.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. You guys say Chad Hunt. Yeah. I mean, boy, that laboratory was low rent. Blinking lights, dry ice.
Yeah, the colored fluids and the bubbling
colored fluids,
smoking flasks and test tubes. But my favorite was when the rather than using like Van de Graaff generators and Tesla coils that looked like they had sparklers on top of those things.
Yeah.
It literally looked like sparklers. It was great.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Why is it why did they decide that Frankenstein monster was the one that was going to get killed by electricity? I think he's the last one to be killed by electricity. They even said his power came from electricity.
And so did his death.
They threw some acid at him, which made his shirt rip and fall apart, and then he backed up into a sparkler. Okay.
A sparkler.
That not a great ending.
Fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay, Pat.
Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
she's great. She's great. She's. You know what? This movie
Very
has
pretty.
lots of really beautiful women in it that do a fine job acting.
She just had a unique quality, and that's her at the bottom as the titular vampire woman from Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman, and that's always left a big impression on me. She just has a certain attractive quality to her, and had, she's one of those, you get the feeling maybe if she'd been making movies in the States, might have had a bigger career, been known to more people. But she had a few, and they were and definitely memorable.
She was in Slugs.
No.
Yes. There you go.
Slugs? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I know that. It's the headdress, and that really makes that character pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, the terrible stars, and I hope they weren't thinking those were pentagrams, because that's how I drew stars when I was in third grade.
Yeah. So that works.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you go to Paul Naschy, I mean, do we want to revisit his long and
so
illustrious
much.
career? He did, so much. I remember him as the Wolfman. There are many, fans that worship his films, and they really love. I mean, there's fan sites, there's fan podcasts out there that just concentrate on his films. And I recognize his, the charisma that he has and the cinematic, the star quality, but I haven't seen the performance yet to back it up. Have you guys done that yet? Have you guys what do you guys think of Paul Naschy?
I like him I think he looks really cool as a werewolf, but I've only seen the two movies that we've just seen of him. I'm not sure of any of the others he's been in where he showed some kind of acting ability, but I do like him as a werewolf. He makes a cool werewolf.
Yeah,
I think he's got some better movies out there. I mean, by a long shot, and I haven't seen them yet, so that's why I'm kind of searching. But I think he's also, what's interesting to me about the guy is he was one of those people that had a love for movies that had no real official training of any kind, that just dove in and went after it. And I'm not sure how, and I think it, or I'm hoping we've got a couple of early ones. You can't really, I mean, these are so chopped up that I'm not sure you can really gauge his writing ability, right? Between Fury of the Wolfman and this one, that as he progresses through, at least through the decade of the 70s into the 80s, that's be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, even though these two haven't been the best experiences for Chad and I still want to see more of these. I want to continue exploring these films, both the Wolfman films and his other ones, because the only one I have seen of his that isn't Wolfman is, and I can't ever remember the name of it. I think it's Horror of the Tomb.
Horror Rises from the Tomb.
Or is it Vengeance of the Zombies? No, it's Vengeance of the Zombies, where he plays three characters and one of them is Satan, and he is the most remarkable looking Satan you've ever seen. It is fun and one of my favorites. But anyway, what I was leading to, Bill, you and I believe you were with me. Didn't we? Did we not see this in 3D? The Frankenstein's Bloody Terror.
Yeah.
Right. Which
I got it, and because it was a 3D print, but it was a weird 3D print. It's so hard to tell with these foreign actors if they're acting well or not, because I don't speak the language. And if you're a good actor, it can be entirely in the inflection and the emphasis you put on certain words. And if I don't understand the language, for all I know, you could be the worst actor ever, but I don't know, because I don't know the words. I'm listening to the dubbing, so it's difficult. It's difficult to say. I mean, Naschy's an interesting character. He looks like an everyman. If the first time you see him, you just saw a picture of him, you wouldn't think horror star. You'd think this guy looks like a cross between John Belushi and Jim Belushi. He looks like a Belushi. He doesn't, he
does kind of look like a Belushi, not just saying.
So
Paul Belushi.
That's interesting to me, because most of the horror stars, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, even John Carradine and some of these others, they had a certain look. You could see a certain menace in their eyes. And he doesn't necessarily have that, but of course his greatest character is a victim. The thing that makes his werewolf work is that the character itself is tortured. The human character doesn't want the werewolf thing, and when he's the werewolf, he's always been one of my favorite werewolves in terms of when he really gets to let loose, because he is feral and vicious, and cool that way.
Yeah, there's nothing better than having him chained to a wall with a pair of chains, because he really knows how to work that.
And I like the way when he finally gets loose, when the camera's on him and he's doing this, like he's like slashing the air. I'm ready to kill something. He's like the Tasmanian devil. Just wait, and then he'll grab someone, shake them up, bite down on their neck, get up, spit this blood that is so red. Even the Hammer people are like, "Whoa, tone it down." That's cool. The movies, it's a mixed bag. I mean, I actually haven't seen that many Naschy movies. So, despite our track record maybe not being the best so far, I hope we continue and maybe stumble across a few good ones. And I think toward the later years, it was getting harder and harder to find even the $1 million budget they had for this one. So it gets rough, but he stuck with it. He found his niche, and he obviously loved horror, which I appreciate.
Especially through the 70s. Right. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman next, or else Chad will never watch another one again.
Yeah.
So we got to give him something to, I mean, because that movie really does present the promise of the, this character and what it is, and it's the one that you will want to visit over and over again. It's a fun movie, and it's also in public domain, which you got to watch out for those bad, chopped up copies. But it's you actually give a shit.
Unless you're Jeff, you just get the Blu-ray.
Yeah, you just buy the Blu-ray. But because the other one that was on the list, just for those who were curious, was Dr. Jekyll versus the Werewolf, which I still want to see.
Haven't seen that yet.
I want to see that. And the other one was The Hanging Woman, which he plays the Hunchback. He plays Igor. And who gets kind of zombified. So
one of those, I don't remember which one, but one of those looked like it was a better print on Tubi.
Yeah. And I believe that was The Hanging Woman had the best print. So, but there's a number of them, and we'll have to figure a way to get to them. Maybe we'll follow Frankenstein's lead and go buy some Blu-rays.
Chad's like, wow,
no,
my dream.
No.
Sorry, kids, it's macaroni and cheese again. Daddy needs.
I've been thinking about the God Monster Blu-ray. It's been nagging at me ever since it came out.
You want it so bad, don't you?
My wife would be nagging at me if I wasted any money on that.
Like I said, as addictions go, it's fairly hard.
This is true. You've been a good provider. Let him have his one vice.
What else can we say about this? The original title was called The Man Who Came from Umo, and what surprised me was they actually mentioned it in the movie.
Yeah,
that he's from Umo, right?
Like, does that mean something to us?
Not at all. Not me. If it does, somebody's going to put it in our comments.
I don't know what goes through people's heads when they do. Like, I made up this planet Umo. I'm going to call my story The Man from Umo. It's like literally no one on Earth knows what the hell you're talking about. Is that a town in Bulgaria? Oh, it's from another planet. Still don't care. It's a terrible title. Terrible title. I mean, put some poetry in it. The Man Who Fell to Earth. Okay, intriguing, poetic. The Man from Umu.
Nope, you're still on mute there, Chad.
Yep.
I said the Man Who Flew from Umu.
Umu, the Man Who Flew from Umu. Oh. The Man Who Pooed in Umu.
We're on to something here, boys.
Give me a C, a bouncy C.
You want to be a star, don't you?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up because we got some feedback, and I think we want to eagerly get to that. Final thoughts, final words on this, Bill Mulligan.
I enjoyed myself. It's not great. It's probably not even top tier Naschy, I hope. But it's a fun slice, and find a good copy. There is no reason to suffer through this with a bad copy. It's not so great that you're willing to, I'll watch even a crap copy to watch it. You need to have it. This needs to have every advantage it has.
Yes.
But since it's public domain, that varies from people who just have some garbage copy that they probably taped off of television with the commercials removed to pretty good ones, and go on YouTube and just take a look. It's enjoyable. It has some parts that are really entertaining. There are enough good parts to get through the slow parts. Don't watch it when you're tired.
No, don't watch it when you're tired.
But I enjoyed it.
Probably not.
Nope. Man, Chad Hunt, sir. You can counterpoint.
Billy, you ignorant slut.
Yeah, I just had a hard time getting through it. Like I said, the monster fights at the end were really cool. And I think Naschy plays a good werewolf. I feel it, but oh my God, the whole middle between the beginning and the end there with all the monsters fighting, and even some of the stunts they were doing reminded me a lot of Frankenstein meets a Wolfman in the
Ah.
lab at the end.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see little homages to that kind of stuff. It really was. But as far as ever, I can't really recommend this movie. I'm sorry, Bill,
No,
but I just had a tough time with it, and maybe I was tired.
Maybe you were.
maybe this made you tired.
All
Hey,
right.
hey, can I just mention one thing? I forgot to mention. I love stupid vampire deaths, and this has a good one. Once again, the vampire, for no reason, when the guy holds up a stake, the vampire just feels obligated to run right into it.
Yeah,
That happens from time to time in movies.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about you, Bill, because I was thinking of Count Yorga. It's like suddenly he just quits moving, lets him run him through with the stake.
Yeah. So much for my superior strength and speed.
Well, at least he could have got it like the other guy did, who I got so confused about all the humans in this. I was losing track of who. Somebody is like mounting somebody and they get stabbed.
Oh, right.
With the stake from the Dracula character. Who was that guy?
That was the Carney.
That was the
Carney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
no,
Did you realize?
yeah,
that?
I was having trouble with that too. Some of them look the same.
Well, you couldn't see his mustache, so it didn't.
Yeah, I had
What a way to go.
Jeff, final thoughts?
He didn't last long. I had a final thought, but I lost it.
All right.
I think Bill probably did. So it's already been said.
Of course, you guys know I love bad movies, especially bad movies from the 70s, but this one tested my patience. I did love the battles. That's what you're coming in for. I also loved the resurrections, right? Because each one, we got this weird setup at the beginning, and then they went and found everybody, and then there was a lot of weird bullshit, and then we ended up with all the fights. So the areas in between all that are the get them all and then have them all fight are fun. But it's a challenge. It is a challenge, and it's not. Yeah, I want to recommend this because the poster is so awesome, and the idea of having a monster mash is so awesome. And there are plenty of other monster mashes that we'll probably get to that are equally as bad throughout the 70s. There's one, Frankenstein's Bloody Castle or something. What is it? The Castle of Bloody Frankenstein or something. We'll get to that one. Everybody's like, no.
Frankenstein. So we said when we were doing Fury of the Wolfman, we said we were going to do another Naschy within 6 months, and it's been like a year and a half. So
did we wait that long?
Yes, we did. So
you notice I didn't say anything.
If our viewers or listeners know of any good, copies of streaming copies out there of good Naschy movies, let us know and we'll queue them up.
Yeah, we got to do another one soon. We'll do it this summer. We'll do it for the end of summer. When are you going on vacation, Chad? We're planning.
Sometime at the end of the summer.
Chad.
All right. So there you go. That's our review of Assignment Terror. I hate that title, by the way. But anyway, watch it at your own peril and let us know what you think down below. I'm sure. Watch the copy Bill suggests. Go DM him.
Yeah.
But we have some feedback. And Jeff Frankensalad has it all lined up for us.
Well, it's just a couple of short ones. And these are both for The Haunting of Julia, episode 140. And to set it up, we have to remind people that Doc was not able to do it. Is that right? You didn't do The Haunting of Julia, right?
That one.
Yeah. And I think maybe did Daphne join us for that? Yes.
Yes.
So Dallas Nostromo, who's
read it in Dallas's voice.
I don't know what he sounds like. You want to read it, Chad?
Oh yeah, of course I'll do it then. What in the hell have you done with Doc? Where is he? I demand to see the body. Oh, and a great podcast.
That's not
Dallas is from Mississippi.
He's here. Doc is here. And then when I posted it in the H&R and DOH Facebook group, I said, Doc is busy doing, and then I put fill in the blank. And Donnie Salvo replied, recording 6 million other podcasts.
Accurate.
Yes, it was accurate.
No lies are told.
What can I say? What can I say? It is a passion.
It is.
That it? That's it? That's it? That's all?
That's it. That's the only 2 we have this time.
All right. We do know what's on next, right?
We do.
And what is that, sir?
When a Stranger Calls.
And that's your pick, sir.
That is my pick.
And that's a good one. That's a good one.
That was a theater movie. I haven't seen it. I remember liking it when I saw it, but it's been done so many times. It'll be interesting to see what it'll be like now. And I believe that it is on Prime right now.
Is this the one with Carol Kane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Charles Durning, who we just did on 80s in Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. So.
Yeah, this one, it's regardless of how good or bad we end up, figuring out how it is, how it is iconic. It
made money.
Money.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about the phone calls is we trace the call, and it's that is absolutely iconic. And man, the trailers. Do you guys remember watching the trailers?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that movie.
I mean, goosebumps while we're talking about it.
Yeah. I think I've only seen this movie once, and I'm excited to catch it again. I've been wanting to because I keep seeing it, and so I'm glad you picked it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Good.
So we probably need to be thinking in our heads, and I'm just going to throw this teaser out there that we have we'll come up with an anniversary if we don't have one coming up pretty quickly. We need to do a classic. It's time. It's time to pick out one of those ones because if you've watched the show, we kind of pick the lesser known ones. But there are some big names out there that we need to cover. Which one should it be, folks?
For our sesquicentennial episode?
Sure.
Which would be 150. This next one is 144, so 150 would be what? 6 weeks or
12 weeks,
3 months away.
Yeah. So that would be toward the end of the year. So let's definitely be putting it out there. Chime in, listeners, which ones you want us to cover. There's we've already done Jaws, right? We did Jaws, and we've done maybe one we did The Omen, and a few others, but we haven't done.
There's 3 or 4 just really huge classics that we've not done.
Well, we've avoided, like The Exorcist. Did we do Alien?
Yes, for our 100th.
We did Alien.
That was the 100th one. Yeah.
So we haven't done Texas Chainsaw, Halloween. We haven't done.
Oh, we did Halloween.
Oh, did we do Halloween?
Yeah, we did. It's all a blur.
That's all a blur. So there are
ones and zeros, Doc.
Ones and zeros. But there are a number of them out there. I know which one I'm leaning toward.
Oh.
But I'm not going to say it here because we'll talk about that in the next 6 months. Or 6 episodes.
12,
12
we could do it sooner if you want. I mean, we don't have to wait for 150 to.
No, 150 sounds good.
Yeah, 100. That's cool to have an anniversary.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Big double issue.
I know that word sesquicentennial because the town here is having their sesquicentennial this year, so I know what that is. Other than that, I don't
show
know.
off.
I know.
That's a big word.
That's too big for me.
Lots of syllables.
Too many syllables to count.
All right, Chad, Bill, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was, even though the film may have not measured up, our conversation, of course, did. And you guys did as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, bud.
All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.